no action will be taken by the Planning Commission members. Plats, rezonings, and street renamings require a public hearing, and once the public hearing is completed, Planning Commission members would deliberate and render their decision. Planning Commission members with a personal or financial interest in any petitioner's request are required to recuse themselves. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the members of the Planning Commission that are here tonight. We have here tonight Kippy Tate, Malcolm Calhoun. I knew a Malcolm Carmichael, excuse me. Ann Clemens, Buddy Hardwick, Patrick Moss, Cruz Reeves, and I'm Frank Cook, the chairman. We also have here Tommy Tyson, James Center, James Center, Paula Richardson, and I don't see Robert. It says he's here, but he's not here yet. Members and petitioners are requested to please speak directly into the microphone. Minutes are recorded for legal purposes, and this is the only way to accurately pick up the audio. We have 6 members present. Takes 5 votes to pass the motion. 7. I can't count it. Well, he had 6 at one time when I wrote that down. So we have 7 members present. It takes 5 votes to pass the motion. Because the number of board members present, if you'd like to delay your request, please let us know when your request is announced. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
All right. Minutes from the last meeting. Are there any questions or changes to the minutes from the last meeting? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of accepting the minutes? Motion passes. Okay. Item number 1 is a rezoning by Tony Richards. Request is rezone one lot located at 3140 Old Selma Road from an R75A single-family residence to an R75D duplex zoning. Is Mr. Richards here? If you'll come forward and speak into the microphone, tell us where you live and go from there.
Good afternoon. I'm Tony Richards, and I'm here today to request that some property be rezoned. The property is located at 3140 Old Selma Road in the city of Montgomery, Alabama. There is currently a garage facility that has an apartment above, and I'm looking to build the lower space out. So that is my request.
Okay.
Has the work on that lower part been done yet, or any portion of it been done?
There has been a lot of renovations done to the upstairs, the apartment part of it.
No, I'm talking about downstairs.
One of the doors have been removed and a double door has been put in its place. The plan is to remove the other door and put a regular door in.
Do you live in the area, Mr.
I do.
Yeah, if you'll give us your address for the
3140 Old Selma Road, Montgomery, Alabama, 36108.
Okay, so this has had the same address that you're trying to rezone.
It does.
Where you live.
Right.
Okay.
Well, our paperwork says it's 3142 where the work is.
3142 is the actual facility number for the dwelling. I'm sorry?
So is this property in the police jurisdiction?
It is. Well, it's actually in the city limits. I'm not sure if there's a difference there. But.
Mr. Richard, let me ask a question. Cruz brought up something that I'm a little confused at what the answer was. Help me get back to this actual address, please, sir.
The actual physical address is 3142.
And that's the house?
That's the house.
All right, sir.
No, that's the garage.
That's the garage apartment. The actual house is 3140.
Okay. Okay. And then the other 2 units that are on there are 2 mobile home.
Right.
Do they have separate addresses?
3138 and 3136.
So all of them have separate addresses but are on the same lot?
That is correct.
But the address posted on those mobile homes doesn't say that. It says it's 3140 C and D.
That is correct. It was recently that I found out that there were separate addresses for each unit when I came down to meet with the planning committee or the planning department.
How are the utilities distributed to each one of these facilities?
The electrical is separate. All of the water coming into the residential area is combined.
So you have 1 meter for
Right.
all structures,
That is correct.
but you have separate, separate power boxes for it.
Yes.
Any other questions?
You
Is
know
that,
that
oh, excuse
for
me.
the E911, those address numbers need to be corrected because somebody called it in 3140C, and that doesn't exist in the E911.
Right. That is on my list of things to do, is to have the addresses corrected and mailboxes put outside to represent those numbers.
Mr. Richards, are there separate septic tanks for these, or what, how is that handled?
No, all of the water and sewage is all tied together for
right.
these units.
Is it city sewer?
It is.
Okay.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Now, earlier you stated that your address is 3140. Are there different people living in the 3138 and the 3136 address?
There is. Those are both rental properties, so there are different people living there.
And so what's your intent for the garage, the bottom level?
Well, there's
Rural
a couple
property or-
yeah, there's a couple of ideas that I have. Number one, well, first and foremost is to convert the lower part of the facility into living quarters. Secondly, it can be used to house family members who are coming in to visit. It can be used to rent out, or it could be used for the purpose of family reunions and stuff like that when people are coming into town.
But you have no intent to try to add additional units that would be duplexes on this lot?
That is correct. No intent, and no intent to expand the existing structure of the building, so all the construction will be contained within.
But another thing, you might not always be the owner. Tommy, if we approve this, could he put another duplex somewhere else on this lot? Because it's a big lot.
Yeah.
Well, couldn't we queue it?
You have to go through the
what I'm
permitting
saying.
process in
I
order.
understand that, but that would probably be no problem if we approve it, wouldn't it?
Would you be, what he's talking about, would you be willing to qualify this such that if we approve the duplex, that you would agree not to put any more duplexes on this property?
I completely agree to that.
Okay, you would agree to that?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
But I got to get some understanding here. I see that the fire department has no objections to this. But are these all wood frame structures, right? And mobile homes?
Well, there's one brick structure, the main dwelling. The garage apartment is a wood structure, and then you have the two mobile homes.
And I'm just looking at the proximity of all of these structures. I know you have a brick house, but the framing is probably wood. The inside of the walls are framed with probably wood studs.
Actually, it's well, you have center blocks in the basement, and then you have Durabond, I think, in the walls. Yeah, there's some wood in terms of framing and stuff, yeah.
And my last question is probably for someone on the staff to respond to, and it says that the land use plan recommends medium-density residential. Does the land use plan and what we're looking at now, do they marry, or is there some conflict between what we're suggesting here?
No, sir.
Okay? So it complies with the
Yes,
land
sir.
use plan?
Any other questions from the planning commission?
I have one. The resident at 3144, have you spoken with them or had their input on the the duplex being right in their backyard as well?
I have, actually, the resident at 3144 is a duplex. She has no objections to my plans.
It's zone duplex. Is 3144 zone the duplex?
No, sir. It's R75S.
Is it grandfathered in?
Yes, sir.
I got one question. 3136, 3138, 3140, 3142, and the new duplexes that you planning on putting in, all of that gonna be on the same one water line and the same sewer line?
Yes, it will be. There is basically one bill, water bill, that comes into the property, and so the tenants are not assessed anything for water. I take care of all the water and sewage for the property.
What is that water line? Do you know?
How
What
big is
size is it?
Where is it?
What size is that water line coming into your property? Do you know?
I don't. I cannot answer that question.
Yeah, and the water and sewer comments say no objections either. I'm just trying to figure out, at some point, there's so much demand that this water line can take, so much demand that this sewer system can take, and even from an electrical standpoint, and I don't know, by adding a dwelling structure on the lower level, if that would exceed the capacity of these utilities or not. That's not our call, but from a planning perspective, I don't know if the water lines and so forth were sized to accommodate this much demand. Can you respond to that at all, or have you had any design professional look at this to kind of assure you that you're doing something that won't overtax the system?
I don't anticipate that is going to be a problem.
And tell me why.
Number one, the electrical lines coming in are going to be for that lower unit alone, so that none of those types of utilities are going to be tied in. So it's going to be a separate wire that's going to be ran.
And quite frankly, I'm not so much worried about the electrical because you will have separate meters for those. But what assurances do you have from the other utilities, water and sewer, that you're not adding more demand on those systems than they can accommodate?
I think that's a tough question to address. But I think that when I look at the amount of water usage, the amount of traffic in the different facilities, they're at a bare minimum for the most part.
Tommy, you were about to say something?
Yes, sir.
No, you were. Oh, but like I said, this is a little bit outside of our jurisdiction on one regard, but at the same time, it may come back to us. And I know residential work is a little different than commercial, but at the same time, what we're looking at here is a complex of facilities, mainly residential structures, and I would assume, don't know, and neither do you, if the utilities and the way they were designed, were they designed to accommodate this level of use?
I think that would be a question that would probably be better proposed to the Alabama Power. I don't have a problem bringing that question up with them, but they would probably be in a better situation to address that.
Well, I don't want to be argumentative with you. I'm not necessarily worried about the electrical. The other utilities are of some concern, and you don't know, or you're not able to tell us at this point, if our concerns are satisfied based on your level of knowledge. And I'm asking you, since you don't know, have you talked to someone who does know, like an engineer or someone qualified to give you some assurances that the demand that you're putting on the systems, the water, the sewer, et cetera, are those systems sized properly to accommodate the demand?
I have had a plumber out to the house, and he did not indicate that there were any foreseeable issues with the number of tenants or the amount of water and sewage that comes through the place.
What was he out there to do initially? Why'd you call him out there? To
Because I
assess the
wanted
system?
to discuss my plans with him.
Okay. Was he a licensed plumber?
He is
Who was he?
Henry Williams.
Okay. I just want to get that on the record. That's all
Right,
I'm trying to
right,
do.
right.
And it was mentioned that you're gonna somebody's gonna assign a new number to that bottom of the garage.
Yes.
But all the even numbers, that's on the even side of the street, are taken up from 36, 38, 40, 42, and your neighbor's 44. I don't know where they're gonna find the number, but that's up to the city, I guess.
Correct. That's going to be up to the city. We actually handle the addressing in planning.
Any other questions of the Planning Commission? Anyone in the audience wish to address this item? If not, with the understanding that he's agreed to qualify this particular rezoning, is there a motion?
Let me ask one more question on that. Tommy, what assurance does anybody have, including Mr. Richards, that the capacity for water and sewer is there? I mean, how did he assure himself, other than having either the city or a plumber, license, that could, isn't that an important question? That's what I guess I'm really getting to. I mean, why are we sitting up here bringing this up when, like you said, that I think it's saying that no objection from water and sewer, and so, I mean, how do we know that has anybody asked that question?
If it's inadequate, they'll make him upgrade it.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, but what happens if there's a 3-inch line? I don't know what it is. What happens if there's a 3-inch line out front, and we're running 4 units off of the 3-inch line? That's not enough capacity. I don't know what's out front.
well, I mean, he would
But
quite,
he couldn't redo several miles of water and sewer to meet that. Couldn't do it.
well, I mean, sir, the expense would be on him if that is an issue.
Well, to piggyback on what my good friend Buddy is, where he's headed, or at least what my concern is as well, excuse me. You know, this is a very unique set of circumstances that's being applied to, I think, a very straightforward system that's out there. I don't think the water lines were sized or designed to accommodate a complex like this. Maybe it was, I don't know. But from what I'm hearing from the gentleman here is he doesn't know either. But yet and still, we're being asked to approve a rezoning that may have some infrastructure-related problems to accommodate the demand, as I keep going back to.
Comments?
And if that is the set of circumstances, maybe there should be some level of assurances that I would think he would want to have for himself, much less us, but if you're gonna put tenants out there and they're underserved based on the system design, I just think this is an important piece of information that you need to know, sir, as the owner, and some level of assurances that we need to know before we look at this as a complex. It's not just, the issue is not just to me, it's not just the bottom level garage, quote, apartment being constructed, but it's, how does that affect the design of the infrastructure?
Well, with all due respect, Mr. Tate, you know, I've had a licensed plumber out there over a year ago to take a look to see if there were going to be any problems with the water and the sewage. And he did not convey any to me. And so I did not press the matter. Now, I can go back and ask that question again because it came up as a concern in this meeting, but I would assume that if there was an issue as a licensed plumber for the city of Montgomery, city and county of Montgomery, that he would have called that to my attention.
Well, since you brought that back up, let me ask you a few more questions. Did you have a contract with him?
I do not.
Okay, well, absence of a contract, how will we know what you're telling us, what was the scope of his level of inquiry based on the concerns that this board had?
This is an individual who oversaw any plumbing issues when my father had the property for the past 25 years. So he is intimately familiar with the plumbing on the property. He did run the lines from the main unit to the other units over there. He did that work back in 1991.
Okay, in 1991, how many facilities were on this property?
There were 2, and then shortly thereafter there were 4.
So you telling me in 1991, with 2 facilities out there, he sized all of these lines
He
to accommodate 5 buildings?
As the other units were added, he handled all the plumbing and stuff.
I'm asking you, did he size the infrastructure?
I cannot answer that question.
So we're back to my initial concern.
Mr. Taylor, you worried about the infrastructure that is out in the right-of-way that's receiving this, or what's on the property?
I'm worried about,
The line running from the city water line and the line running from the water and sewer lines running from the city or from the water board's facility to the house, then from there to the other unit. That's the question. That's the real question.
Let me ask you this. If we separated the line running to the 2 units that are adjacent to the main house, would you feel more comfortable with that?
I'm not going to sit here and design it for you. I'm just simply saying.
I didn't ask you to design it. I just asked for your
Let me just answer
opinion.
the question. You are asking me to design it for you if you're asking me the solutions. I'm thinking that what you need to do is have somebody who can assure you or us or whatever that we have the proper infrastructure to service this complex. I'm not necessarily concerned about the 2 units or 1 unit or half a unit. I'm talking about the complex now, because you're adding demand to the system that was put in 1991 when there were only 2 buildings out there.
And then shortly, somewhere during the 1991-92 timeframe, there were 4.
Okay.
So the plumber would have had to have taken the capacity issue into consideration in order to add those other units onto that.
I don't have any more questions for this guy.
Anybody from the audience wish to address this item? If not, as I mentioned before, he has agreed to that this will be the last item that he would put on this particular piece of property, so we would qualify it so that we express our concerns if we agree to pass this motion. This would be the last building that would go on this particular property. Is there a motion that we accept this motion? Is there a motion to approve?
Let me ask one more question.
Okay.
I'm sorry to go off on this again, but if Mr. Richard agreed, can we ask him to agree to have the lines from the city utilities to the house? Because I'm assuming that's where I'm assuming you're metered out there. Water and sewer is out,
Right.
comes to your house first before it goes
Right.
anywhere. If that's a 3/4 inch line for the water, I would think that that's not enough capacity. And if he's can we ask that to be done? That's what I'm asking. For somebody to know what's running from the utility, the city, the water boards, water and sewer, to the house, what size that line is, does it have the capacity to handle the other pieces of property?
Once again, this is his responsibility, everything back of the meter. If it's inadequate, then he'll have to deal with the situation, either run a separate line, new meter, or else upgrade the entire thing.
You know, Tommy, that response sounds good, but here's my problem with the response. If it was for his family, alone, fine, but you're bringing other people onto this property. He's got rental property out there, so he's got some responsibility to the public to deal with this thing properly, in my mind. If it was just his family and he wanted to underserve those folks, fine. But he's got this stuff up to the public. He's offering the public a place to live, and we don't know if it's properly designed to handle the additional load that's being put on there.
Mr. Tate, I mean, regardless of if it's his family or not, it's still his property. I mean, this is his property. He's serving the tenants, and so it's going to be his responsibility whether or not it's his family or not. I mean, he's living on. I'm assuming, Mr. Richards, you live at
3140.
You live at 3140,
right.
And everything on this whole entire lot belongs to you. So it's your responsibility.
Exactly.
If there's an issue.
That is correct.
So I mean.
But what about the gas? Is there gas service to this property as well?
There is gas service to the 3142 address.
Cable?
I'm sorry?
Cable, satellite?
Yes.
Which one is it?
Cable.
And it goes to all 5 properties? Or
No,
just,
no, it does not.
Which one does the cable
It comes to my address. The tenants have their own cable.
Mr. Richards, wasn't you about to say that you would be willing to have those water lines separate?
If it is necessary, I will do that. I don't see that as being a problem. Yeah.
And I just thought that was you
Right.
leading to saying that. So that's why.
Yeah. If it is deemed necessary for me to expand the existing lines that are there, I have no problems doing that. At the end of the day, it is my responsibility to make sure that any problems that arise on the property are taken care of in an expedient manner.
I guess one way to look at it, if the water capacity is not sufficient, you won't be able to keep tenants in there. So that'll solve
Absolutely.
itself.
Absolutely.
So you'll have to fix it to satisfy the tenants.
Right.
And you have had, to your knowledge, in the 4 that's on there right now, with the capacity that you have for water and sewer right now, you have not had complaints of low water pressure or 4 folks flushing at one time, and you hadn't had problems.
None at all. One of the tenants have been there for 25 years since my father bought the place. The others are there. They work a lot, so they're not there a whole lot. So the property does not get a whole lot of usage. I look at the water bills, and you get a water bill for an area that large, and it averages around $110 a month. You know that the utilization is kind of low.
Okay. Now, Frank, I'm sorry.
I'll
Turn
ask
it
for the
back.
3rd time now. Are we ready to queue? Are we ready to, anybody want to make a motion on this property?
I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion that we approve it. I'll make the motion that we put the queue in there that Mr. Richardson agreed to, and that was that there would not be additional units placed on this property. And if I wish I could make it that you would check this item out for your own, for your own benefit. But anyway, Is there anything else that need to be added to that?
It's on the record, you can't queue this district.
I'm sorry?
You cannot queue this district.
Can't queue it.
What do you mean you can't queue the district?
You can't put a queue on this zone district.
Who said that, Tommy?
I thought you told us we could.
The qualified districts does not include the 75D. But you have it on the record that he's not going to add any more units.
So what's the purpose of the queue in the first place then?
Well, what he's just telling us, we can't do what we thought we could do earlier. That's what
Well, apparently what Tommy is saying is that if a person testifies that they won't put but 1 unit or whatever the queue would do, then there's no purpose for the queue. If the person testifies that, am I understanding that right, Tommy? If a petitioner testifies